Two airplanes have crashed into the World Trade Center in an apparent terrorist attack on our country.
It's my dad in a helicopter and they're taking him up and I'm shouting his name and he's shouting my name. I joined a helicopter because they're taking him to Guantanamo. I'm wearing this t-shirt and it says "Justice for Dad" and this number's my dad's number in jail.
It's quite difficult when I meet the children of Jamil Elbanna to be normal, because I know their circumstances are very abnormal. It's, for me, a sense of guilt. I know that they understand that of all people who may understand their situation, I'm certainly one of them. My name is Mozambique. I'm a former detainee of Guantanamo Bay in Cuba. I was born in the city of Birmingham in England in 1968. 2001 June, I decided with my wife and my children, after considering a project to build a school for girls in Afghanistan, that we would go there. And one of the first things I did with regards to my children, my daughter, was to enroll her into that very same school that I'd helped to set up. I wasn't there very many months before the September 11th attacks in America took place, and then the retaliation with the bombing of Afghanistan, under which we had to evacuate over the mountains and into Pakistan, where I have friends and relatives. And then on the night of the 31st of January 2002, I received a knock on the door. I was faced with people who were dressed as civilians, who pointed guns towards me. They physically picked me up and put me into the back of the vehicle. And inside this vehicle, somebody pulled up my hood that was over my head and took a photograph. And then when he spoke, it was clear that he was American. I was eventually moved on an airplane to Guantanamo Bay, and on this airplane were other people, including British residents Bishar al-Rawi and Jamil Elbanna. I remained in Guantanamo for 2 years, and most of those 2 years in solitary confinement. Just before the end of January, I was told that I was eventually going to be released, and that I was going to return home to Britain. For something I still don't know to this day as to what I'm supposed to have done to have earned to have paid such a price.
My name's Amani Degayes. I'm the sister of Omar Degayes, who's a detainee in Guantanamo. We came to the UK because we had to escape from Libya as my father was executed by the Gaddafi regime. We came to Brighton and lived there. My brother Omar was travelling. He visited various countries, including Afghanistan. In Afghanistan, he married a local Afghani girl. She was pregnant and she had a child. And while they were there was a war that broke out and they escaped to Pakistan, which was the nearest safe country. And my brother was taken to various prisons, which ended up being Guantanamo. He was tortured and told that his wife was going to be sold into prostitution, and we don't really know why he's there or why he's seen as dangerous. And he's been there for 5 years.
This is photo is Omar when he 15. There is my family is Omar with their brothers and sister. Here is me. When I first heard about my son Omar in Guantanamo, it's a very big shock for me. I miss him too much. I need to hear his voice and to talk to him once, but very, very, very hard. I can't explain how this feeling about when mothers don't talk to her son for a long time.
We found out that Omar's been blinded while he's in Guantanamo because he was attacked by the guards with pepper spray. He's been beaten up lots of times. He's had his nose broken. He's had his finger broken. Being forced to live naked for a period of time. Having another prisoner's feces smeared on his face. The whole setup is such that I think if the guards felt at any point that these were human beings, I think they would have a real problem doing the kind of things they have to do. Omar always wanted to be a lawyer and had a real fascination with justice, and so it's almost more ironic that someone who's got a real thing for justice would end up in such an unfair situation. This is not new. The whole setup of, people targeted for whatever they are, for what they believe in or their religion. It's not new, and it's happened so many times in history, and then afterwards people go on about how terrible it was and how tragic it was. It just seems like we're there again, and nobody seems to learn.
Today Gordon Brown is in Brighton. He's going, I think, to speak about his future as a Prime Minister.
Brighton man held without charge in Guantanamo Bay. This man is a fellow resident of Brighton and Hove just like the rest of us. He's a member of our community. He has rights the same as the rest of it. It could be me, it could be you, it could be any of us in Brighton. Ask Gordon Brown to bring this man back to British jurisdiction.
My main message is, Gordon, don't make the same mistake as Tony Blair. Put back things right which Tony Blair has messed, and one of them which concerns me directly is my brother coming home and being released from Guantanamo Bay. The last time I saw Omar was 6 years ago. We cannot celebrate anything or be happy about anything until Omar is back home to us. This is an issue which concerns every human being who cares for justice.
I'm Sarah Tether. I'm the Liberal Democrat MP for Brent East. A Member of Parliament's job is to represent the interests of the people who elect them. And one of the people who lives in my constituency are the Elbanna family, Mrs. Elbanna and her 5 children. And Jamil Elbanna, unfortunately, doesn't live in my constituency at the moment because he's being held in Guantanamo Bay. It's my responsibility as his MP to raise his case in Parliament and to campaign to try and get him released from Guantanamo Bay. Now, if he's done something wrong, he should have access to a fair trial. But if he hasn't, he should be at home with his family, with his 5 children and with his wife. In this country, if you're accused of something, you have a chance to clear your name. That's the basis of justice in the United Kingdom, and it's supposed to be the basis of justice in the United States.
Sarah Taylor.
My constituent Jamil Elbanna has been held in Guantanamo Bay for over 4 years without charge, without trial and without hope. The British government claim that they cannot intervene on behalf of a non-British citizen. Does not the return of Bishar al-Rouri entirely undermine his position?
No, I don't agree with that, and it's very important that we do not take on responsibility for people who are not British citizens in those circumstances. And I would also say this to her, though we have made clear Our desire to see Guantanamo close and make sure that the people are subject to a proper trial there, I think it is also always important to remember that those people who have been there have been real issues about them and their conduct over a period of time. And I would only say to her just to remember that this arose out of September the 11th and Afghanistan.
I asked him whether or not it wasn't nonsense for him to say that he couldn't help my constituent because he's not a British citizen, when it was quite obvious that he had helped Bishar al-Rouri and brought Bishar al-Rouri back, and he's not a British citizen either. And he didn't really answer that point.
Our next speaker is Sarah Tether MP.
This is not about the US. Jamil Elbanna, Omar Degaiz, they are not here because the British government will not intervene on their behalf. And even if they did, they still say they will not have them back.
We're meeting to talk about my dad, who isn't here, and that faraway place called Guantanamo. After 4.5 years, my dad is still there and he hasn't done anything wrong. I am 10 years old, and since I was 6, I have been asking and demanding and shouting, "Where's my dad?" Do you know how hard it is to know that my dad is alive but not be able to be with him, and for him to be put in a little cage like he's the most dangerous person on the planet?
What's most shocking for me is that the countries we've escaped to, like the UK, are the countries now that seem to be supporting the torture and detention of people without trial. And that's really scary.
I have a big hope to British government to bring him back to England.
When my father was mounting a campaign for my release, he did say quite openly that I don't want mercy for my son. I simply want justice. And that indeed is the call of most normal people. But in the majority of the cases, we know for a fact, just as all of the British detainees, the 9 British detainees who returned to England, not one of them was charged with any crime, and all of us are free.